Guys, girls, listen, very serious issues going on right now, so I thought it might as well address it because I don't want the channel to not even be doing anything like that. We're still going to be uploading stuff. We're still going ahead with Sunday's live podcast. We need to address what's going on at the moment. Obviously, there was the issue where the Olympiacos owner had been infected by the coronavirus. A number of players were put in quarantine because they had come into contact with him. That didn't include Mikel Arteta. And the news broke yesterday that Mikel Arteta has the coronavirus. Now, it wasn't just that sent the world into a tailspin. It was the pigs and troughs, as they say. The NBA closing down their season, postponing their season. The NHL doing the same thing. March Madness as well have shut down. Literally everything had shut down. And the Champions League, UEFA and FIFA was forced to comply today because Hudson-Odoi was infected 3 players in Leicester, and then the list just goes on and on. It's almost like they're being updated by the hour that these things are happening. The UK's decision, and by the way, the UK went up from 590 cases to over 798. So in one day, the UK ballooned over 209. And again, remember, these are the only cases that are confirmed. These aren't the people that they're still testing. They're still in the process of testing over 10,000 people a day. So as the days go on, more and more and more people will be confirmed. There's probably at least over 10 to 20,000 people already infected in the UK, but we've only got the confirmation numbers. So that's where it is right now. Boris has decided to be one of the only people in the world who's not shut everything down. And he's doing that for 2 reasons. One is because of money, which we know he won't admit, but he's trying to keep the banks and everything and businesses alive as long as possible. He's trying to stretch it out as long as possible. Unfortunately, you're not winning that war, Boris. Being in a business myself, I can see how much things have just deteriorated. And not just that, but you only have to look at Victoria, Bakerloo, King's Cross. You only have to look at the streets of London and London transport to see that there's hardly anybody travelling, which means people are not listening to the government. They are staying at home and they are self-isolating themselves. Yeah. So they're doing it without, because every other country is doing it. Yeah. So you don't need the government's permission to do what you think is right. If you think it is right to work from home and self-isolate yourself to avoid this, then you do your thing. Yeah. If your workplace is saying that that's something you can do, then you do it. The second reason, and this is probably the most important, is scientists have been saying to Boris Johnson, which is probably what led to the decision to let it go on. They reckon that there's another deadly strain of this virus to come. So they want 60 to 70% of the population to catch this virus so that we can build up an immunity to it. Now, scientifically, that makes a lot of sense, because if you don't catch it now and then a second or third strain hits you in the next 6 months or the next 12 or 18 months, your body wouldn't have even built up immunity to the first strain. So if the second or third strain is deadlier, you're literally, the death rate would be even higher. And we know the flu death rate is 0.1%. This started out at 2.6, and now it's somewhere in the region of 6%. It's getting higher and higher and higher as the weeks go on. So I know people were talking about, oh, SARS, it's not as deadly as it is. Very much more dangerous, simply because there was only 8,000 people with SARS. There are now 140,000 people worldwide and counting. Yeah. So this thing, regardless of what it is just that much more dangerous, because if somebody sneezes, or if there's an element of the germs on a table or a door holder or anything like that, that can stay up there until from a couple of hours to 72 hours. Yeah, that period of where you can catch it is quite long. So that's the reason why everybody's staying at home. That's why they're self-isolating themselves. The cinemas, everything should be shut down. Some schools are not even waiting for the government. They're shutting down already. Although some of the schools in Hertfordshire, where I am, are open. But anyway, listen, on a more serious note, let's just have a checklist of what's really going on at the moment now. So the Premier League has suspended because of the corona pandemic, with all professional sports in England called off until April the 3rd. We've got the Champions League and the Europa League fixtures scheduled, well, for next week. They're cancelled. And also, Euro 2020 could be postponed until next summer 2021. So that's quite important, because that's a whole... This is why we're saying that there'll be no Olympics or there'll be no whatever. Because when you're having a major event like that once every 4 years, it's just not worth the bother. And look, we don't know what's going to happen in 6 months or 12 months' time. We really don't know. We only got to deal with the problem at hand that's right in front of us. So obviously, the F1 season Australia has been cancelled, the first race, and the season is now set to start in June instead of March. Also, the NBA season is suspended indefinitely because of my team, the Utah Jazz. Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell had come down with the illness, and those cases are confirmed. And I'm sure I did hear another 2 cases, but it's just going to go on and on and on. MLS football season is suspended for 30 days, as well as La Liga as well. Serie A champions Juventus, Daniel Rugani, who we were in contact with last summer as a transfer, he's also come down with it. Six Nations rugby has been called off. ATP has announced a 6-week suspension. The Golf Masters has postponed all events cancelled until April at least. And again, Bundesliga, everything. Look, the whole grid is shutting down. And realistically, we just need to be safe. Yeah, you just need to stay away, keep your social distances from everybody, and just self-isolate if you need to. And as for Arsenal, just want to get out there and really pray for them guys, the guys who are infected, and of course Mikel Arteta. Hope and pray that those guys get well soon. It's a bit of a bummer really, because that means that all those injuries that Tottenham had, those players have got another 2 or 3 weeks to recover. Oh, what a shame. Anyway, it is what it is. So listen guys, just hold it down and let's cover this off on the show. And look, we'll come up with some great content to talk about. And as for the Manchester City game, I'm kind of glad that it got postponed, because I weren't feeling great about it. And I just think that it had come too early for us. But there's no saying what's going to happen right now. There's no saying what's going to happen when that date of the 3rd of April is back, whether there are going to be players who are ill or not. We don't know. So listen, let's just take it one day at a time, 1 week at a time. And on Sunday, let's think of some good subjects to talk about. And we might even reflect on the season and where things changed and how it got worse. We'll definitely do a segment on that. So listen, thanks everybody. Appreciate the time. And let's pick this up on Sunday evening. Peace out.